So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Keir Starmer absent. I want to do a separate one on Boris Johnson. My highlighter wasn't working, so that's fun. But hopefully I should get that one up fairly soon, or it might even come up before this one, I don't know. But this is from the 11th of August. Labour will cut energy bills for the 4 million poorest customers using prepayment meters, the Shadow Chancellor has said. Reeves talks about how it's an unjustifiable practice. However, the change would not be nearly enough to stop soaring bills overall. In fact, on the current price cap set to rise in October, the difference would be worth only £46 a year. Currently, the price cap is set at £1,971 for direct debit consumers and £2,017 for those on prepay. Why people on prepay have to pay more, I have no idea. It's so stupid. Labour said this would save people £84 a year from October and £100 from March, where bills will skyrocket overall. The party's been mulling over proposals to help people, and this was an interview. I'm not familiar with Bridget Phillipson. I think she's a shadow minister. It's not important what her role is, but this just is brutal. We've barely heard from Keir Starmer over much, and this is just the reporter asking, when are we going to hear from Starmer, and her just being very coy about it, and it's embarrassing for the Labour Party. I'll be honest with you, it's a bit embarrassing.
Where is Keir Starmer?
Well, Keir Starmer, will be working on further measures that Labour will set out around this. I'm absolutely confident of that. If Keir Starmer were Prime Minister right now, I can tell you we would not have got to this point.
We would not have gotten to this point. So he would have solutions already in place, right? So surely we should know what he wants to do right now. Surely if he was Prime Minister, we would not be having these problems. So he would have done something. So how would he have resolved the current crisis? Madness.
We've been saying since last autumn. We've been saying since last autumn. We've been saying since last autumn that greater action was needed. I've been on.
So you've known about this since last autumn, yet you've not come up with a policy. Almost 9 months on.
Programmes like this since last year, talking about the action that we need to see. It was clear that this was coming, hand in hand with rising food prices, the cost of the weekly shop going up, the cost at the petrol pump, the rising cost of childcare. There is such a big squeeze that working people are facing right now.
When will we hear from Keir Starmer?
We will hear further very, very soon about additional measures that Labour will put in place to make sure that families get the support that they need.
So there is a plan?
There is no plan.
We have set out immediate plans around cutting VAT in the short term to provide that help, and the long-term plan to provide.
So cutting VAT is 5%, right? There's no guarantee that the consumer would actually get the 5%. We've seen that before with VAT cuts. I think it was under Gordon Brown, where he cut VAT by 2.5%. Consumers didn't get any of that.
Insulation, long-term energy security and cutting people's bills by making sure that we aren't as exposed as Britain currently is. Other countries are not as exposed as we are because they've had a government that has planned for the long term.
So what's your plan for the long term then? How are you going to ensure that the UK is not as exposed long term as we are currently? What's the plan? Insulating homes, good idea. I think she mentioned like one or two other things, okay ideas, but it's just what Labour are doing is drawing within the lines here. That's the problem. We need fundamental change. A massive amount of change is needed here to make ourselves more energy secure, but also have energy suppliers that essentially are state owned, where they can't do stupid stuff. They can't raise energy prices by dramatic amounts, and they can't make record profits as people in this country have to once again decide between heating their homes or being able to feed themselves once again.
How soon is very soon?
But we'll hear very soon
within a week.
We'll hear very soon additional measures that Labour will set out around the immediate support that families need. We've been ahead of the government on this.
You have. The only thing you've done is a windfall tax, and obviously the 5% cut in VAT. That's about it. You have not been ahead of the government, because the government have set out policies about direct funding to people. You guys haven't had a coherent strategy. That's the problem. The government strategy don't go anywhere near enough.
Consistently.
At least they've offered something. They've said something. You guys have been very quiet on this stuff.
Ahead of the government, whether it's the windfall tax, cuts to VAT on energy bills, not cutting universal credit, extra help around breakfast clubs and childcare. We've been consistent.
Okay, fair. There's 4 things. 2 of those, one of those are non-energy related. Extra support for breakfast clubs and other things. That's fine. But again, it's not going to make a dent considering the scale of the problems we have. The energy bill price rises are looking like they might hit £5,000. How is anyone meant to afford that? You guys need to go a lot more bolder. You need to push the government towards the left. That's what you have to do. You have to force the government to make much, much bolder decisions here, because even the windfall tax that they've set out is a joke. Can you at least explain how your windfall tax will be better, considering theirs will only generate around £5 billion, and considering there's massive loopholes in it as well? Can you guys explain how specifically you would do better? That's what I'm struggling with, because I'll tell you what, this from Rachel Reeves, this ain't it, Chief. This is not it. I'm very disappointed. You've got, Michael, what's his name? Gordon Brown coming out making statements, which is fine. Phil saying, Gordon Brown is working with the Labour Party, which is probably true. I couldn't find too much specific on it, but apparently he's asked Gordon Brown to help him out. Fine. And he's testing the waters, etc. But given that Labour are due to unveil further plans next week, though contrary to reports, a source said Starmer will not be giving a speech. Now, the only time you do a speech or a press conference is when you have something worth saying. I think that's an Alistair Campbell rule, right? As much as I despise the guy, the guy understood PR. If Starmer is not intending to give a speech, that tells me what he's unveiling is probably not going to be a lot, which also tells me that Labour are not going to go far enough, and they're kind of determined to be kind of Lib Dems, effectively. The Lib Dems have said the government need to cancel the price hike in October. You could even argue maybe the Lib Dems are being more to the left than the Labour Party, but that's a very scary proposition if you can credibly say it, which I'm not 100% sure yet. Fact is, Labour are, they're being asked the question, where's Starmer? Where is Starmer? Where is the leader? He's nowhere to be seen here, and she's tried out some of the minor policies Labour would do, but again, these aren't going to make a dent, and that's the key problem I have. You need to do something bold here. You need to do something very brave, and you need to address the problems in this country. You've got Gordon Brown talking about how they would nationalise certain energy providers. Not the suppliers, not the generators. The suppliers, nationalise them temporarily in order to kind of keep prices lower. But then all you're doing is going to privatise them in the end and just help them get through this bad period, effectively privatising the profits and socialising the losses. It just doesn't make sense that we have got the North Sea. We import obviously a lot of resources from Norway. We import a lot of resources from around the world, but we do have our own supply of gas and of oil. Yeah, we're just barely using them. They were privatised. We've gotten rid of a lot of our storage capabilities for liquid gas, which is just ridiculous. Thanks to Theresa May for that one. But the simple fact is, the guys and girls have no idea what they're doing. This thing was incredibly embarrassing. And if Labour are still in the phase where they're trying to formulate ideas, I despair. I despair, because you guys should have had something by now. If you're telling me, right, you predicted this crisis since autumn last year, right? That's what she said about 2 times in that interview. Why have you not come up with anything then? You can't be the one who said, they call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things, and not have any solutions, because then you look even more stupid. Because if they're going to ask you, so why aren't you saying anything then? All you've got is a 5% VAT cut, which is not going to make that much of a difference. Some direct support, which will help, keeping, stopping the universal credit cut. Again, that would help. Or, going back to the allowance that Sunak did, that would help. But again, you're talking about £5,000 price cap potentially this year into next year, right? You need to do a lot more than what you're doing now to make up for that. A lot more. And the Labour Party simply aren't doing it. I'm going to be on to the Tories, because before anyone calls me, he's a Tory show. Look at my channel. Look at my channel and look at my videos and see who I criticise 90% of the time. If Labour get 1 video out of 10, then they're lucky. They're lucky I don't do more on them, because I can. Absolutely I can. Look at the amount of content Novara Media pour out about the guy, and some of it is nonsense, but some of it might be true. I'll have to look at their channel more, but my channel is aimed at the ones who actually have power, which is the government, and hopefully maybe pulling the Labour Party a bit to the left, a bit more than where they are now, which is effectively the centre-left, centrist at best. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.